So in global prehistory, everybody at the time, back then, was like, we must get rid of the Venus of Willendorf.
Yes.
They were so sick of reading about her and everything. And overdone, and
You just don't know anything specific about
She's the first image introduced, and you know how it is. You remember the thing you learned first, and it didn't matter what question was asked. There was
always the Venus of Willendorf.
use the Venus of.
Yeah.
Have you met Roger?
Roger.
Roger, who I don't know his last name, old reader for a long, long time. He called her "she who must not be named." He never even used
Well,
the term.
that was one of our mandates, get rid of the Venus of Willendorf. So I substituted the one from Tlatilco. Tlatilco is, so you've got a lot of T's that people will get mixed up, I'm afraid. It's not as early as she, or the one on the right, which we should have in the image set, is the lion-headed piece from Germany that's 40,000 BCE. That's what we should. So.
Isn't that one supposed to be like the oldest anthropomorphic?
And it's a cave lion human combination, which is the exact, shamanism was also practiced in very early Europe. All the burials and things show the same kinds of beliefs coming out. But I picked her on the left. She obviously has two heads, or a double head, sharing three eyes. So I wanted to establish right away the shamanism, importance of it, where things with two heads, and we'll see that in the Lady Shock piece, two-headed phenomenon are very big in visions. Things multiply in visions, and for some reason the human brain will see this. It's a wonderful example of contour rivalry. Contour rivalry. Contour being a line or a shape, and rivalry fighting over a shape. So in this piece, they're fighting over that central eye, right? If you look at the right hand, you see it as part of the right hand face. If you look at the left hand head, you see it as the left. And you go back and forth, and you can never resolve it. So it's, again, a sophisticated artistic thing to be done very early. This is central Mexico, too. So both of the pieces from the prehistory come from right around where Mexico City is now.
Could you say the term one more time?
Contour rivalry. The simple kind of thing would be showing two hexagons, and they share the middle line, like that. And you can't take it away from one or the other. It's an impossible situation. Of course, M.C. Escher is our friend. Yeah, yeah. But just to show that Europeans didn't make up these optical illusions. They can be in very early art. And what does that communicate? Two as one, one as two. Yeah. It's a deep religious idea, and it's in the Trinity. How can it be three and one at the same time? Well, it just is. And when you get to colonial Peruvian paintings, one I really wanted in the set does the same thing for the Trinity. 3 faces, 4 eyes. 4 eyes, 3 faces for the Trinity, if you can envision it.
Which one are you envisioning? I missed that first part.
Colonial Peruvian painting who tried to show the Trinity in Catholicism used this same, with 3 heads for the Trinity and 4 eyes. You can figure it out on paper. She's a fancy lady with a fancy hairdo, and she has big circles around her ears. Those are ear spools. We call them ear spools, like a spool of thread, because they are like our fearless leader's ears. You push them through a large hole, but in their world, you have things on the front and things on the back. But you can, if a person has become mature, the more mature and important a person is, the bigger their ear spools. So when the Spanish came and they saw the Incas, they called them orejones, big ears. So they recognized big ear spools, and they are male. 99% of the time, the fancy jewelry is for men. So here's one of your, you know, ooh, that's weird. But they can understand these things better, and they're not as grossed out by, you know, piercing your face and your tongue and all that stuff as we used to be. Also, of course, what you notice is she's got big fat thighs, and that's more, her breasts are there, but in the Americas, it's not about the boobs. But when you have big fat thighs, if you have enough body fat, you are fertile, right? And you can have a baby. So that, another nice point, I think, for students this age is that fat was prestigious. The fatter you are, the better. Because someone else is feeding you, and you have extra calories, and you're not working them off, and you can have babies.
So that would have been seen as, I mean, symbolic of fertility, but beautiful? I mean,
Yeah, very, very beautiful. And very feminine, very hourglass shape, very different from a male shape. So you do, these are fertility figurines, but women's power is in their generativity. To produce a life, you know, seemingly from nothing, and wax and wane like the moon, so that they can't be reduced to fertility figurines. And a lot of times, we know they're ritual objects. They're often broken, not just because they're old, but that they were ritually killed. And that they might have been often used for a ceremony. You want to get pregnant. We invest, you know, we take this image that has all the power of fertility in it, and we interact with it, and it's filled up with a spirit. Probably the shaman, you know, puts or calls a spirit to come and be in it, and really be in it, and he or she sees it. And then you get pregnant, we're done. And you don't want that image necessarily always to be around because it's so powerful. And maybe you don't want to have a baby the next, you know,
So it would
2
be
months
as soon
later.
as the woman is pregnant, then you would break it. So you would leave the spirit in there until.
Or the shaman might take it, you know, but there's something important, not just about them being fertile and sitting there on an altar, but there's often ritual killing of the object, which is one of the reasons that we know. Restart? What do I need to do? Help, help. That it's one of the ways we know that they thought art was alive, since they kill it. There are a lot of examples of killing the art, showing that they thought it was alive before they killed it.
Would this have been used in rituals then, this piece?
These, yeah. And then they're buried in tombs, so they can go with you. And then they would mean regeneration. It would be in the afterlife. So one of the things that's a little similar, but it's not exactly for the Hinduism and that, is that we don't think they really believed in total reincarnation, coming around again. We don't have any, but we know the afterlife. It's more like Egypt. The afterlife is this whole other place with its own demands and its own sequence of events and all this stuff that happens in the afterlife. And you can take it with you. You put as much in your tomb as you had in life. You take it with you, and you're going to use it over there. So.
Do we have a sense of the afterlife, what it looks like?
Oh yeah, it depends on the culture. The Maya, the underworld. You're going down into the underworld. It's a 3-part universe in shamanism. The shaman and people live on this very, very thin strip of our terrestrial world, the least important place. And the celestial is over, of course, where orderly, where the planets do orderly things, and the sun and the moon and all that good stuff. And then the underworld is equal. It's a reflection of the celestial, and it's watery instead of dry like the sky. Well, there's water in the sky, but it's considered to be watery and dark, but it's not hell. So don't let them go heaven and hell. You go through the underworld to get to the celestial after you die. I'm doing the Maya. We know the most because the hieroglyphics do really help us a lot with the Maya. So when the Spanish came and said, well, you all are going to hell, you're going down, they were like, uh-huh, yeah, we go down, yeah. And they were like, wait, no, you're not supposed to agree, you know. So interesting
I'm just
world.
thinking about Egypt and the underworld being a place of water and green and life.
Yeah, it's where all the plants start, all the roots of the plants are there. You'll see a lot of images, ancient American images, that have the plant and the roots, because it has to be complete. And they do have a world tree, the same as most cultures, a world tree. You know, that's the roots in the bottom and the branches in the top and all that kind of stuff.